guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're continuing our MCU rewatch, starting off phase 2 with Iron Man 3. So yeah, we're officially done with phase 1. We just finished watching Avengers. We're going to be skipping Thor Dark World. So the movie after this is actually going to be Captain America the Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite MCU movies. But yeah, in this video, we're going to be watching Iron Man 3. I haven't seen this movie, I think, since release. I've seen parts of this movie here and there. Like, I've seen about, I think, like the last half of the movie I saw at a dentist appointment like 2 years ago. But other than that, I have not seen this movie in entirety since the original release. Before we get into it, if you guys are new in here and do enjoy this series, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or I go live. But without wasting any more time, let's go right into phase 2 of the MCU, starting off with Iron Man 3. Honestly, this villain isn't even that bad, especially like the origin story of him, but overall he seems like he's gonna be pretty lame, and from what I remember, he's not even that good. So dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Honestly, I totally forgot that this was a Christmas movie, kind of. I don't think it came out during Christmas time, but like they have a bunch of like Christmas trees and everything, and they're playing Christmas music. I think this is the one with the little kid in it. I'm gonna look back at this clip and be like, Arian, you're dumb, why don't you know this? I totally forgot there's an Iron Man movie that's technically a Christmas movie.
I'm scared of you. Nothing's been the same since New York. You experience things, and then they're over and you still can't explain them. Gods, aliens, other dimensions. I'm just a man in a can.
So far, this movie's pretty boring, but I do like that they're actually showing the repercussions on Tony's mental health from the Avengers movie, and they're not just acting like the Avengers movie didn't exist, or they're not just blowing past it. It's actually having a lasting impact on Tony. Alright guys, so I'm now about 30 minutes into the movie. Actually, I'm exactly 31 minutes into the movie, and I'm enjoying it, but I just feel like there's way too much going on, and we're getting way too little information about each big part. Like, for example, the Mandarin. Obviously, he's supposed to be a tease, and I know I'm rewatching, so I know that the Mandarin is fake. I've already seen it once, but we're still not getting development on the main guy at AIM. We saw him like twice, and we're already 30 minutes into the movie. I know it's going to set up for a lot, but still, it's kind of boring so far.
Any military victims?
Not according to public records, sir.
Also, Happy just got like blown up in the hospital or whatever. Like, there's just so much going on at one time, and they're not really fleshing out one singular storyline. And this is kind of what happened with Iron Man 2, except Iron Man 2 didn't have nearly as many moving parts. Also, I forgot to mention, this one also has Pepper Potts as the head of Stark Industries. Also, Tony Stark dealing with PTSD from the first Avengers movie. There's just so much going on, and it all feels like it's packed, and it feels like we're not getting enough of one thing. Obviously, the underlying thing here is Tony's PTSD, and he also just told like the entire world his address, so I know that the explosion part is coming where his entire house blows up. And after that, if I remember correctly, the movie does move pretty slow because he does go to that like little town place, meets a little kid, and then the red dude that like glows and stuff like that. I mean, yes, there's so much in this movie, but I think it'll slow down eventually, but we'll see where it goes. As boring as this whole movie has been so far, I will definitely say that this action sequence where his house blows down is so awesome. It's so well done, and from the beginning to end, it's just so epic. There's no dull moment or no moment where it's even like, oh, this looks bad, oh, this isn't good, like the writing's bad. It's all perfect. It also really well shows how Tony Stark is losing everything. Like, it blows up certain things like his Iron Man suits, his cars, all of the special things that we saw in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. I like the way the fight ended, but I kind of wish that it showed a little bit more of Tony leaving. It wasn't just like him in a rocket ship like leaving, but it kind of makes sense because the rest of the people don't know that he's still alive, all that kind of stuff.
Where are we, upstate?
We are 5 miles outside of Rose Hill, Tennessee.
Why? Jarvis? Not my idea. What are we doing here? This is thousands of miles away. I gotta get Pepper.
All right, so we're about 45 minutes into the movie, and I'm gonna be honest, we literally haven't seen the leader of the AIM guy. We haven't seen Mandarin that much. We're barely seeing anything regarding the villains, and I'm starting to get some concern.
Deputy, get this woman.
Hey, Hot Wings, you wanna party? Come on, you and me, let's go.
All right, the pacing of that like interrogation, whatever scene with the sheriff and then the girl with the hot hand, that was like so poorly paced, but the action itself was really good. When I say it was weirdly paced, it's just like, it just felt weird. Like it was like the camera shots, the cutting, all that stuff was really, really weird. But I do like that we're finally getting some connections to the villains. We are about 54 minutes in, so almost an hour into the movie, and we're finally getting villain connections and all that kind of stuff. So the plot is moving. Alright, so honestly, the villains are cool in this movie. Like, I like the concept of the villains. Like, they blow up, they're not really bombs, they're human bombs, basically. I like that. I think the Mandarin was too much, though, because I think that, I mean, we're about an hour and 7 minutes in. I know he's supposed to be a mysterious character. He doesn't really have a presence, and when he's in the movie, it just feels weird. Like, I'd rather have more backstory on AIM. I'd rather have that Iron Patriot scene where he's confronting the terrorists. I would rather have that scene earlier and play more off of the AIM company like we did in Iron Man 2 with the other dude. I don't know, there's just so much missed potential here, just as there was with Iron Man 2. Again, it just feels like they're rushing to tell more of Tony's story when you have so many villains you need to talk about anyway because of everything they tried to do in this movie. It's just so much going on at once.
My name's Trevor Slattery.
Alright, so I just got to the Mandarin twist part. I don't really care that it was a twist. Like, personally, I don't see why it's that big of a deal. He wasn't even shown that much in the movie, so I'd have no real connection to him. Maybe it's because I already knew he was fake, and I don't remember the first time. Like, I don't remember my first reaction to it when I was little. I don't mind it. It's just, it's played off as too much of a joke. Like, I feel like they could have taken it just a little bit more serious, especially the fact that Tony is taking it so seriously. So when the guy who's like acting as the Mandarin, when he plays it off as a joke so much, and like it's just his character's like charisma, like he's just a joking guy. Like that's the character that's not Mandarin, the actor that plays Mandarin, Trevor, that's just his charisma. That's how his character is. I just don't really like that. I feel like his character should be a little more serious and match the tone and energy that Tony has just a little bit more. I'm gonna be honest, I did not see that coming. That's probably the best part of this movie, like in terms of like a twist or anything actually super entertaining other than like that first fight. And then part of the bar fight was interesting, but other than that, it just hasn't been that good.
It's good to be back. Hello, by the way. Oh, hello, sir.
All right, so I think we're around this place where the final battle is going to start. We have about 43 minutes left of the movie. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my time watching it. The action's fun. The story's nice. It's just not that good, you know? Like, I mean, I can enjoy something and not be the best, and that's what I think this is. I don't think it's a great or good story by any means, but I'm still enjoying myself. So in that sense, it is pretty good, but I think it's just super rushed. And like I mentioned before, the Christmas part, I thought the Christmas part was way longer, and they also set up him and then the young kids' characters. They set them up to be like on the screen way longer. I felt like it would have been cooler if we got to see more of them together. Also, more of the villain. I mean, Mandarin was obviously just a joke, which I don't really mind, like I said before, but I just feel like we should have gotten more time to feel out more characters. I think that was the biggest flaw. Not only was that scene just super dope, but overall, I think that this final battle is going to be super cool. It's just that it's going to be all over the place, which I don't really necessarily like, but I definitely feel like it's going to be going one place to another, because they still have to get to Pepper and all that other stuff. They just got to the president.
Merry Christmas, buddy. Jarvis, target extremist heat signatures disable with extreme prejudice. What are you waiting for? It's Christmas. Take him to church.
All right, you gotta let go. You gotta let go. I'll catch you, I promise.
All right, like obviously I know she survives. I've seen all the other movies, but it's cool to see that they actually did that. Like, I think in the moment I would have definitely thought she was dead forever. Like, there's no getting her back, but I know she turns into like the heat monster thingy. So I just have to suspend my disbelief since I've already seen this movie and I'm just rewatching. But nevertheless, I am liking this final battle so far, especially this last portion. It was definitely dragged on, like the Sky Empire where he has to catch all the people. Like, it just feels like a bunch of small missions until you get to the big final battle. But this big final battle is pretty good so far. I also don't like the fact that it was just a whole army taking down the like side guard people. But other than those factors, I'm enjoying myself. Also, the fact that he has multiple suits to use and like he can just go back and forth makes it look super cool. And the fighting is just way better because he can like slip out of the suit and then get back in, or jump off of a building and then the suit catches him. Like, it's so much cooler.
I am the Mandarin.
Honestly, I do like this ending. I like that Pepper kind of ended it off because her character was being neglected throughout the entirety of the movie.
You can take away my house, all my tricks and toys. One thing you can't take away, I am Iron Man.
Alright guys, so I just finished watching Iron Man 2 and I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. I don't have too much to say because I did say a decent amount of my overall thoughts while watching the movie, and I'm just going to be repeating myself a lot. But nevertheless, there is a few more things I want to talk about, like the ending, and I actually really enjoyed the ending compared to the rest of the movie. The first and second act of the movie were super slow. We didn't get a lot of the villains. I honestly don't even remember the CEO of AIM. Like, he's technically the Mandarin. I just don't remember his like actual name because I don't really care. His character isn't irrelevant, but we're just not connected to him as much. And the same thing happened in Iron Man 2 with Whiplash. I think Iron Man movies are trying to do too much because they try to balance Iron Man, Tony Stark's personality, and they also try to balance a lot of stuff going on with the villains. For example, in Iron Man 2, they tried to balance Whiplash and then the second dude plus all of the SHIELD stuff going on in the background, setting up the Avengers Initiative stuff. And then in this one, they have the guy at AIM, they have the fake Mandarin who still took up screen time. And then we also had Rhodey's storyline. We had Tony's PTSD. We had Pepper Potts becoming the CEO of Stark Industries. We had the part where Happy got literally like blown up in the beginning of the movie but somehow survived. Like, there's just so much going on in this movie and I didn't really understand why there was so much going on. I think the biggest thing is they didn't choose the proper things in the movie. Like, they should have either chosen to talk about more about Tony's personality or have all of those villains, because this one had a massive arc for Tony's personality, which I really, really love. But at the same time, the villains that we're supposed to connect to get so neglected because we're so focused on Tony. Obviously, a solo movie is supposed to be about the hero, but we still need to know stuff and we still need to connect somewhat to the villain. Speaking of villains, the Mandarin twist, I'm honestly not that opposed to it. I don't think it's anything crazy like the Ralph Boner joke in WandaVision. I don't think it's anything bad. I think it's kind of funny, but I think that intensity in that scene where Tony starts interrogating the actor, Trevor, I think his name was, the scene just feels super weird, and it just felt like, obviously it's played off as a joke. That's the point. He's supposed to be a fake Mandarin background covering in for the real dude that's like the red glowy guy. But I don't really like the way they executed it. I'm glad he was a fake one, because now we get a real one in Shang-Chi coming very, very soon. But I do think that they handled it poorly is what I'm trying to say. I also do like what they did with Pepper Potts, like I mentioned before. She becomes like the Stark CEO, and she's been the Stark CEO since Iron Man 2. We just haven't really seen her in action until this movie as the Stark CEO as much as we did. I mean, we saw her a little bit in Iron Man 2, but not nearly as much as this movie. In this movie, really, her entire arc surrounded that. Another big, maybe unnecessary arc, depending on which way you wanted this movie to go, was the Tony getting stranded in the town and then meeting that little kid. Yes, that's cool. It makes Tony's arc go a lot further, which is super dope to see, but the little kid is practically useless in the grand scheme of things, and Tony's like personal learning and personal gain, stuff like that, didn't really influence him in the final battle. Whereas in later Avengers movies like Age of Ultron or even Infinity War and Endgame, his mistakes in the beginning and how he grew as a character actually affected him in the final battle. This is one of the problems I had with the Captain Marvel movie. Her growth number one, doesn't really happen. And in the small parts that it doesn't really affect her character necessarily. For example, the first Iron Man movie, he becomes so humbled when he's living in the cave with that old dude. Or not, he's not old technically, but still, he gets humbled. And towards the end of the movie, he still realizes that he's not a complete douchebag. But overall, in this movie, I would say that his interaction with that little kid didn't necessarily change him over time. It still changed him, of course, in that moment. He learned, but still, it still felt like he was just as much of a douchebag in the beginning as he was in the end. And during that time, we could have either focused more on Iron Patriot or even the villains. Speaking on Iron Patriot, I wish that we got more of him on screen. He's super dope. I love his character so much. I mean, I don't necessarily like his character, but I like the action that we can do with his character because he has all these big guns and rockets and massive armor. It just looks super cool. Nevertheless, I'm not going to say this movie was pretty bad. I would say it's average or below average. There were definitely scenes in this movie that were super cool, and there were specific scenes in this movie that were better than scenes in the first two Iron Man movies, and maybe even the first Avengers movie and Captain America: The First Avenger. This one might have some crazy cool moments, but overall as a movie, it's not the best. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It's not to say this movie's story is crazy or it's good by any means, because I think the story is the most lackluster part, but the action is very, very well done in my opinion, and this might have the best action out of any Iron Man movie. Maybe the second Iron Man movie's action is a little bit better, but this action was so much fun. Overall, I did like this movie, but I'm still gonna settle with the fact that it is below average. Nonetheless, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. The next episode of MCU Rewatch is gonna be one of my favorite MCU movies ever. It's gonna be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I recently just watched this one, but I'm still down to rewatch it. I've seen this movie so many times and I'm definitely in love with it. But until then, if you guys don't want to miss out on that episode, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.